All right, Horsemen Academy. I'm excited about this conversation today. Raquel, I hate that you're missing it. You were the one that was like, you doing this without me. It was your fault you went to LA. We got to keep the show going on. So first off, again, follow us on all platforms, The Poor Horseman, also on YouTube, The Poor Horseman. And then today, I'm grateful that people believe in us enough to where they'll bring their people that they work with back to the studio. So Brianna, you may see this. Thank you so much for bringing, I'm going to save my introduction here in a second, but thank you so much for bringing our guests today, because the conversation that I think we'll have will be in alignment with a lot of the things that we've been talking about here more recently on the show. So without further ado, please, Pastor James, will you introduce yourself to the audience?
Blessings to you. Yes, I'm Pastor James Edwards, and I get the opportunity to pastor at Transforming Faith Christian Center right here in Houston, Texas. And 45 years old.
Come on, we hanging on.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? We doing it. We doing it.
Sure.
Okay.
Hail from Florence, Alabama.
And see, what's funny is we had a little conversation about Florence.
Yeah, absolutely.
You feel like a lot of people don't know where Florence is or about it at all.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about your upbringing in Florence real quick.
Yeah, Florence, Alabama. I hail from Florence, Alabama. We are approximately about 2 hours east of Memphis, about an hour and 45 minutes northwest of Birmingham, about 2 hours southwest of Nashville.
I mean, you gave us the whole. You gave us the.
That's what we.
You gave us the whole diamond.
I'm in the corner. My bad.
You had to make sure we knew where you were. Okay.
Yeah, I'm detail oriented in an hour west of Huntsville. But anyway, my story goes as follows. My father was killed when I was 4 years old.
Understand.
And my mom was addicted to drugs, crack cocaine in particular, until I was 17. And so I was raised by my grandmothers. And my mom's mom was my main caregiver. And when I was 9 years old, she started having massive heart failure. And so I had to move in with my mom. And by 12, she passed away.
Understand.
But when I moved in with my mom around about 10 years old, I faced verbal abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse every single day. Like,
and it's tough to hear when you say every day.
Yeah.
And just hearing how you share it, I know that still kind of impacts maybe where you do things now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If you're not careful, you will, tend to go back to.
Yeah.
Some specific voids that wasn't fulfilled at that time.
Yeah.
So just being honest, we all got a couple holes in us that only God can fill.
Yeah.
So therefore, I think he leaves a couple of voids in us so that we can always be dependent.
Okay.
And not be independent.
No, I understand that. And small town, small city living is challenging, especially when there's so much turmoil in the house.
For sure. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Losing a father young, other health conditions in the household, the abuse. How did you navigate that?
Yeah, I didn't. I just straight up made a decision at 12 years old. I was great on the football field, and because my mom was struggling with a drug addiction, I was great on the football field, terrible in the classroom as it pertains to conduct, not mentality.
Yeah.
If I would apply myself, I probably could have been a straight A student. But at the ages of puberty and acceptance and wanting to be something that you're not at that age and not having any direct guidance into vision, into identity, into manhood, period, you just tend to figure it out however you think that is right.
Yeah.
But I made a decision at 12 when my mom pulled me off the football team that if I couldn't make it, if I wasn't going to make it to the NBA or the NFL, then I would just sell drugs for the rest of my life. It was a decision at 12 I made over the casket as my grandmother was being lowered into the ground, because I'm going back home to my mom who's struggling with a crack cocaine addiction daily, and my aunties and all her sisters and brothers, nobody wanted to take on the responsibility of bringing me in to father me or mother me.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I am, my brother is 15 years old, I'm 12, but he has a dad, and his dad is taking time with him, but I don't have a dad. So at this point, it's just me making a decision, like, all I know is the streets. Mom bring the streets in the house. Nobody care about me. Who cares? A spirit of apathy comes upon me. And I'm like, I'll just sell drugs for the rest of my life. Forget it.
Man, and see, in hearing you talk, there is a spirit of helplessness in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because what you thought at 12 was a solution that you see others who may be making money.
Absolutely.
You don't realize that those decisions may get them in jail or in the grave.
Don't care.
And that's a part of that. You know, we have some PTSD in our community where we may have been on the battlefield.
Absolutely.
But we've had a battlefield of our mind and a battlefield of the streets.
Absolutely. Trauma.
And at 12, it's impossible for me to even think, because I didn't have that experience.
Absolutely.
My father was in the Air Force.
For sure.
Father was at my house.
For sure.
You know, it wasn't, I didn't have to make those life-changing decisions at 12.
For sure.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, and at 12 years old, if I saw you in your life, I had other friends whose dad and mom was there and had Nintendo, Sega Genesis and all this. Yeah. I was just jealous of you because you have somebody in the house. Not because I thought you was better than me.
Just because
I knew you had somebody that cared. And I didn't know I had nobody that cared. Yeah. And so it was just a natural envious and jealous that you got a mom and a dad. I don't.
And some of that in our community roots itself in violence.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
You know,
violence, drug addiction, drug selling, all of it, it poverty breeds poverty.
Yeah.
Brokenness breeds brokenness. Destruction breeds destruction. Defeat breeds defeat.
And it's not intentional.
No.
And see, that's so sometimes the challenge that I have with people who will judge our youth, not realizing they may have a similar story to you, and it wasn't even intentional for them to land the way they landed.
Yeah, I didn't sign up for this.
That's what I'm saying.
I just had to play the cards that I was dealt.
Exactly.
And I played them to the best of my ability at the way I knew how to play them. Like, nobody taught me how to think.
Now,
nobody taught me what to think.
That's what I was going to ask you next.
Yeah.
Who taught you the drug game then?
Because I was living in it.
Wow.
So at my grandmother's house, the place where I was raised on the west side of Florence, directly across the street is the ABC store, which place they sell liquor at. Yeah. Liquor store, barbershop, grocery store. Every single thing that is happening right over at the store. Yeah. If it's not happening at this store, then 2 streets over is happening at another store. And so I lived in it. I lived in the hood. And so the only affirmation, validation, and confirmation I got was throwing a football and catching a football, running a touchdown. And so when my mom took that away from me, all my external sight exposure was 2 streets. Yeah. And so therefore, there is a hardness that was just, as a little boy, that just naturally, you live in it. Like the project kids, we not living in the project, but we might as well be project kids.
Yeah.
You know, you fighting with them, you competing with them, everything is going on right there. And so you begin to see that it's certain people that ride around where you are driving a certain car, right? You might go to the store and bump into them, and they be like, go get anything you want right here. And they pull out a wad of money. Yeah. Like, it was just certain things that takes place that begins to shape your mindset, shape your perspective, shape how you see life. And so at this point, I'm making a decision. I just sell drugs the rest of my life. I don't even know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it.
And man, so from that, from that, I would imagine that it didn't go as successful as you thought it would.
No, not at first. At 15, I sold my first piece of crack cocaine. Okay. 18, I'm traveling back and forth from Florence, Alabama to Detroit, Michigan on the Greyhound bus with drugs, because by this time, my first cousins on my dad's side living in Detroit, they come down and they see I'm growing up. They see what's going on. Oh, you ain't going to school.
And you a hustler.
You hustling? Yeah. Oh, let's do this for real. Like, let's not penny and play. If we gonna do it, let's do it. And so they give me an opportunity to bring me to Detroit and put me on the bus with whole block of drugs. Yeah. Not even knowing.
We're of the same age. Yeah. So I know that game.
For sure.
So
for sure.
In this part of the country, you might have went to New Mexico and Albuquerque and took the Greyhound back to Oklahoma or et cetera. So
for sure.
So those routes, what people don't get a lot, it happens now more in cars. Yeah. Because you could pack down a car.
Yeah, for sure.
Know, what people don't understand is that people used to live a dangerous game on them buses.
Absolutely, for sure, without a shadow of a doubt.
They don't even know.
It's crazy because by the time I was 20, I had accelerated. Didn't even know how I knew how I did it, but did not have a vision or plan for it. I'm buying a kilo of cocaine, which is $26,000.
Oh, yeah.
And so 2 years of selling drugs, I'm buying a kilo of cocaine at $26,000. Now watch this. every single thing that I've ever wanted from my family, now I can get it.
Wow.
Because now I got money to give them $500, $600, $1,000 when they need this and when they need that. And so I stopped being the black sheep and I started being the one that they loved. And so I stopped being the least likely to succeed to the number one person on their call list.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so all I ever wanted was love. So at this point now I got money to give them.
Yep.
And so now I'm being praised, I'm being affirmed, celebrated, and appreciated and valued because I got $1. So at this point, okay, they need me.
And that's what you equated your value to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so 1 year later, my brother gets into a situation that is a kill or be killed situation, gets himself into something. He's in Huntsville, Alabama. He ends up shooting and killing 3 white guys.
Man.
On his doorstep because they about to kill him. He got to kill them. Make a long story short, he runs in Huntsville, Alabama. And of course, a white guy who killed 3 black guys in Huntsville,
Alabama.
Oh, yeah. It's all points bulleting out.
Across the state.
Across the entire nation. CNN got it and everybody.
Yeah.
Seriously, John Walsh got it on America's Most Wanted. He runs for months.
Yeah.
And so they find him, they catch him. At this point, everybody we talk to, because they are trying to give him the death penalty, everybody we talked to back in these times, 2000, May 3rd, 2000 when it happened, they caught him in October of 2000. Back then, they was talking $150,000 for a lawyer.
Man, I'm not going to cut you off, but we have a similar story.
Wow.
So my older brother, 5 years older than me, he spent, several years in the penitentiary, and he'll come tell his story at some point too. We've talked about this, but my freshman year of college, going to college, got in a similar situation. Unfortunately, someone's life was lost at the hands, maybe not necessarily of him, but the people that he was around at that same time. People have tried to leave. All point, America's Most Wanted.
For sure.
I can remember John Walsh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Calling our house.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And trying to get the story on where is he at.
Yeah.
The vehicle that he owned, I went and took.
Wow.
To try to think I'm gonna save some things. And so just hearing that, it just brings me back to that trauma.
Yeah.
Like how I felt,
Wow.
Going to college. It's not the exact same, but I resonate with you
for sure
in that.
Mm-hmm. So my brother needs an attorney because they talking death penalty.
Yeah.
And so they're talking $150,000. We finally grab somebody that'll take the case for $100,000. At this point, now I don't sell drugs just to be selling them for affirmation and validation and confirmation. Now I got a purpose.
Yeah.
If I don't get this lawyer fee paid, my brother gonna get fried. This is in my mind. And so when we hired the attorney like, how you gonna pay me? And I'm like, I'm gonna bring you $5,000 every single week until this is paid off.
Yeah.
And he say, the Fed's watching you, sir. Like, protect yourself. Man, here go $15,000 now. I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Make a long story short, I paid the attorney fee, and my brother go to trial, get found guilty. When he get found guilty, instead of them giving him the death penalty, they give him life without parole.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm laying in my mom's bed on this day, head is about to explode, feel like the world is on my shoulders. And one mind is telling me, you just seen what they just did to your brother. Find you something else to do with your life. The next mind is saying, what you gonna do with your life? Then the third thought came, if you made that type of money for your brother, look how much you just made for your brother.
And see, that's the problem. That third thought is the problem.
Yeah, like what can you do for yourself?
Yes.
I said, yeah, if I made $100,000 for him, I'm 21.
Yeah.
What can I do for myself? Well, I went all in on the third thought.
Yeah, that's it is something about our psyche that doesn't allow us to make the right decision during a moment of, I don't know what the best way to say it, but during a moment of trauma or anxiety, we don't always make the best decision.
Absolutely.
We don't.
Yeah.
We don't go to God during that time.
For sure.
We go to ourselves.
For sure. Without a shadow of a doubt. At the time, I'm not even believing in God. Just being honest with you.
Yeah.
And so a year later, I have a second cousin that lives here in Houston at this time, and I'm in Alabama. He comes home for a weekend, and he see me, and he like, bro, you need to come to Houston. Like, the numbers in Houston is down.
Yeah.
What you paying up here and what you paying down there? I'm like, I'll be there next weekend. Let's make it happen. I come, I see, well, I'm paying $26,000 for a kilo of cocaine in Alabama. In Detroit, I mean, I'm paying, now I get an opportunity to get one for $16,000 here. Okay. I say, okay, let me
You
come.
in the game now.
Yeah, so I come to Houston. I had $33,800 to my name. He said, I'll give you 2 of them for $16 apiece. So I bring the $32,000. I got $1,800 to my name. I get 2 kilos of cocaine. I get back to Alabama. I turn $32,000 into $90,000 in probably 2 weeks.
That's about right.
And
Yeah.
I went straight up crazy. 22 years old.
With 90,000.
With 90,000. The first turn. So in June of 2002, by October the 8th, 2002, I'm $400,000 strong. And at this point, I'm headed to Houston from Alabama with $168,000. I get pulled over in Sulphur, Louisiana, and they arrest me, take the money.
Of course they will. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's state's property.
I got a pipeline going on, though.
Okay.
All I need to do is get to Houston and get back to Alabama.
There's consignment now.
It's game time.
Because you playing a little different game, though,
for sure.
because your money got taken.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
we ain't got to get into all of that,
For
but
sure.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I got
okay.
you. Yeah.
So August 1st, 2005, speed it up. August 1st, 2005, the FBI, the DEA has had enough of me, and they arrest me and indict me to stand charged of conspiracy to attempt to deliver, conspiracy to attempt to possess 50 to 150 kilos of cocaine, 2,000 pounds of marijuana.
Oh, they was putting real charges.
Yeah. I was not caught with anything.
Of course.
Conspiracy
conspiracy.
charge.
Yeah.
April 17th, by the grace of God, 2006, Judge Sharon Blackburn sentenced me to 96 months in federal prison.
Okay.
And on the road to prison, there are no distractions, no interruptions, no interferences. And I begin to entertain the questions of growth. And the question is, if I just continue to keep doing what I'm doing, and I get out of prison in the next 8 years, next time they catch me, they're going to give me a life without parole sentence. They was trying to put murders on me. They was trying to put the RICO law on me. They was trying to do a whole lot of stuff, but it was just God's grace they didn't.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I'm thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? Like, what's next? I get in prison, and believe it or not, I'm in Atlanta, and it's a group of individuals in Atlanta that is paying prison guards to leave and go out. It's everywhere you go, you try to go into doing the right thing, but and the wrong thing is present.
It is.
And so I meet some guys down there. When I get there, it's a couple people from where I'm from already like, man, dude, the hog, blah, 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 blah. Now I got to live up to an image
of course
in prison. And so some guys paying some guards to leave and come back. I get with them. 4 months later, I leave out of prison one night with them, and they pull the fire alarm. We get caught. So we come back in, they put me in a special housing unit. And I'm in the special housing unit.
You don't ever want to be in the shoe.
Yeah.
You don't ever want to be in the shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in a one-man cell, and now it feels like the walls are closing in. Feel like my head is about to explode. And I hear a voice say to me, clear as day, you are exactly where you need to be. And I'm like, exactly where I need to be? Feel like I'm about to go crazy. I don't even know what I should do. I'm like, God, if you are real, I make a deal with you. I'm done. I'm done with the streets. I'm done with the money. I'm done with the women. I'm done with it all. I'm done.
Yeah.
If you show me what I'm created for, you can have my life. I didn't come to God asking to be born again or to come in church. In my mind, God, if you God, I don't understand if you really God or you really care about me anyway, because I couldn't understand how my life had led up to this point.
Yeah.
My grandmother never did anything wrong, but every time it rained, we had to put pots in the floor because it's leaking. And I just didn't understand the logic. God gonna provide when we hungry some nights. God gonna provide when bugs crawling up me or as I'm asleep. God, I just didn't understand it. And so I didn't know then, as a person who was not an atheist, went to church, heard about God, but didn't really believe it. Because all the people that's doing everything they doing in church, the next day they across the street at the store.
Yeah.
Doing all kind of stuff. And my grandmother talking about them. So I'm trying to figure out, if God, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
But I'll make a deal with you. If you show me why I'm here, you can have my life. I didn't even know that was a prayer. I felt like it was a challenge. If you show me what I'm created for, you can have my life.
And the reason why you felt like it's a challenge,
Yeah,
because you come from the streets.
yeah, I come from the streets.
Everything is a challenge.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
Testing your manhood.
Absolutely.
Can you get these?
For sure.
Can you get this dope off?
For sure.
Can you pull this woman? Everything is a
If
challenge.
you show me why I'm alive, I'm done, no.
Yeah.
And so, believe it or not, the next morning I wake up, I get a Bible. I grab the Bible, I open it up. I'm like, what is this? Like, can't understand. Nothing is going on. 3 days later, a book comes under the door, though, that my auntie had sent me from Joel Osteen.
Wow.
And it's entitled Your Best Life Now.
Yeah.
I begin to read the book, and it started making sense instantly. In chapter 1, he says, enlarging your vision. And the concept was this. If you can never see yourself doing it internally, you'll never experience it externally. If you can never see yourself going to the NBA on the inside, you'll never do it on the outside. If you can never see yourself owning a business on the inside, you'll never own it on the outside. If you can never see yourself living in a certain house on the inside, you'll never do it on the outside. The concept of vision was the first time I heard it at 27 years old.
Okay.
If I can't see it internally, I'll never be able to do it externally. And instantly, you know what I started thinking? Before I used to go to Houston and get that dope, I used to see myself going to get it, coming back selling it, making a certain amount of money,
Yep.
and it happened just like I said. I saw it on the inside. It happened on the outside.
Yeah. You spoke it into existence.
I didn't even understand none of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I heard a voice say this, keep reading. And I kept reading that chapter. I try to go to chapter 2, bloom where you plant it. Some just bring me back to chapter 1. I kept reading. And all of a sudden, I had an experience with God that marked my life forever. It felt like that my spirit and my soul left the place, left the prison, went to a place, and I was standing in front of a group of people with my hands resting on a podium, and I saw people everywhere. Then all of a sudden, boom, I come back to the cell. So now I'm thinking I'm hallucinating. I'm thinking I'm losing my mind because I've been in this one-man cell by myself. I'm thinking I'm going crazy. So I jump up, run to the door, knock on it. I say, tell one of the orderlies, go get it. One of the correction officers, tell them they got to put somebody in here with me or they got to get me out of here, man. Feel like I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
The correction officer comes, open the door, see me, laugh at me, and they like, you that dude that was paying them guards down there at Atlanta. Yeah, this is what happened when you try to buck the system play you. Slam the door in my face. Hope you don't lose your mind up in here. Yeah. Holler back. That night, when they turn the lights off and the shoe is so black you can't see your hand in front of it.
Yeah.
I go to sleep, and it seemed like I wasn't asleep. It felt like I wasn't asleep for 5 minutes. And the exact same thing I saw in the daytime, in that out-of-the-body experience, I saw it in a dream. But this time I had a microphone in my mouth and I was preaching.
Okay.
But I couldn't hear myself preaching, but I could feel my auntie hitting me saying, boy, you better preach. And the crowd just going crazy. So I jump up out of the edge of my bed and I'm like, God, you telling me to preach? Preach what? Preach who? Preach when? Preach where?
Yeah.
And I hear a voice say, what is the thing about you that everybody hate? I'm like, I don't know. He said, it's your mouth. Instantaneously, I remember 3 acts that happened that was giving me the illustration that I talk too much. And the voice came back and said, there's nothing wrong with you talking too much. You're just talking about the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I try to talk to the voice and stop talking. I wake up the next morning and I'm like, okay, I'm going to change when I get out of prison. I got another 6 years. And the voice said, no, you said you was going to change. You're going to change now.
Wow.
I grabbed that Bible. I opened up that Bible. And for some reason, what I couldn't understand, I was not only understanding it, I could start feeling, sensing, and seeing myself in stories as I'm reading them. Now watch this. Everything I'm reading is starting to stick to me like glue. I'm memorizing it, right? So I'm waking up from sun up to sundown in a special housing unit. I'm not even in prison because I'm in the Bible and I'm reading. For the next 5 years, I didn't do time. I invested time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not only did I try to memorize the Bible, but I started reading books from the great Dr. Miles Monroe. He wrote 69. I studied about 63 of them.
Okay.
Started reading books from Charles Capp, Kenneth Hagin, a lot of Fred K.C. Price, a lot of Word of Faith guys. I may have knocked down 800 to 900 books.
So that was your PhD. You know, you while the situation was probably necessary for you to sit down.
The greatest situation that ever happened to me, because God encountered me and I began to understand that God cannot be discerned. He has to be revealed.
Yeah.
And when he revealed himself to me, now at this point, I have a conviction of the reason why I'm alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I got something to live for.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I cannot be like anybody that I saw in my past. You gotta, like, I'm hungry for greatness.
Yeah. Yeah.
You a great God. So at this point, the thing was, don't just be in prison doing time. Make the investment.
Yeah.
And every single day. So now I'm bumping into former investment bankers. I'm bumping into people. I'm bumping into lobbyists, state senators. So the federal prison is not like the state prison.
It's not.
It's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah.
So I'm actually in a place where I can get, well, men will see, he just, like, I miss my son, but he kind of remind me of my son. What I didn't pour into my son, I want to pour.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get all this. Walk out of prison in 2011. I'm going to be an asset to my community and not a liability.
Okay.
I went to the church and the church shunned me.
Yeah. What happens sometimes in our community too, people who come out of prison with faith, oftentimes the church thinks it's pseudo faith.
It's a jailhouse religion.
Yeah. They don't think it's the real thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of our greatest orators and greatest people who can break down the text came from an environment from being locked up.
Absolutely.
And it's because they've been able to take the time to decipher, to internalize.
Yes, sir. And
they've probably preached and given testimony to other people in prison who are at their most helpless time. So I've always felt like I'm going to listen to them more because I know, like, adversity breeds greatness.
Absolutely.
And if they can take that greatness into creating text, a successful relationship, building a church.
Absolutely.
They're just it's value, if not more, than someone who did it without that adversity.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I've always felt that way.
So I get out in 11, the church shunned me, and all of a sudden God started opening up crazy doors.
Wow. Give us an example.
For example, I got out August 2nd, 2011. My best friend was playing for the Texans at the time. He flies me down here. His name is Jason Allen. He flies me down here. He's a DB, defensive back. Him, Jonathan Joseph, there's a few other guys. Yeah. Anyway, they're complaining about training camp because it's so hot outside. And I'm like, I'm fresh out of prison. What do you mean? Like, I just started motivating them, not even realizing that I'm just speaking life into them. And I can't understand how in the world are y'all not thankful.
Correct.
The arrogance of you. I'm fresh out of prison. So every morning we would get up, they would all call me. Like, we all on a six-way. Yeah. And I'm motivating them. So when I came to the game, they introduced me to Rick Smith. And then he was like, and one of the guys said, Daniel Manning, he said, man, y'all be bringing these weak speakers in here. This dude got it. Y'all need to bring him. Well, November, Thanksgiving weekend, they playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. I get the opportunity. They fly me to to Jacksonville to speak to the Texans before they play in the Jaguars the night before. Nice. I get that opportunity. We film it, put a YouTube video out, and then from where I'm from, the Times Daily newspaper, fact check everything. Of course. They tell them what's going on. They put my entire story on the front page of the paper.
And see, I've always, matter of fact, I think it was your wife too in some of the clips. This is something that I've said before as well. Whatever God takes away from you, he's going to fill with something way greater. So you went from selling drugs, which is dangerous.
3 months out of walking out of prison.
That's what I'm saying. You get out of prison and you working with the Texans.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So so when they tell the story now, University of Alabama Huntsville calling. Okay. Alabama A&M calling. Yeah. University of Alabama Birmingham calling. People in Atlanta calling. Yeah. Story that hit the Wall Street Journal. I'm like, what in the world? I'm going, and so I take 2 speaking engagements. All I'm doing is just telling my story. Of course. About how I transformed and about how I gave my life to God. Yeah. The third event I went to, a guy walked, the principal of the school, says, man, I cannot let you leave here because you didn't just only impact these kids, you impacted me and my staff.
Yeah.
Here you go. He gives me a check. And I'm like, what it is? It's like, you a motivational speaker.
Gave you an honorarium. You didn't even know it.
I didn't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
So now, here I come. I'm moving around, and I get an opportunity to get on a bullying panel in Atlanta, 2012. Lobbyists, state senators, judges, all these people on this panel because this epidemic has jumped off about bullying.
Okay.
I'm on a panel as a fall guy, fresh out of prison, 6 months. Steve Harvey's daughter, Brandy Harvey, is on one end of the panel. I'm on the other one. I start talking about vision as it relates to bullying. The reason why children is looking for external attention because they don't have an internal picture.
Yeah.
And before the end, after the end of it, she walks up to me. She like, your voice got to be heard now. And like, I want to bring you to my father's event. It's Disney Dreamers in Orlando. And she like, I'm Brandy Harvey. I'm like, okay. She like, I'm Brandy Harvey. I'm like,
yeah, you ain't got no frame of reference. Yeah.
who is that?
Yeah.
She's like, I'm Steve Harvey's daughter. I run the Steve Harvey Foundation.
Yeah.
She brings me to the Steve Harvey Foundation. I get the opportunity to speak on the stage because Will Packer had missed his flight. They needed a fill-in speaker. I speak. And Steve Harvey says, I don't know who this young man is, but we got to bring him to mentoring weekend.
Yeah.
So now I'm in Dallas, moving around, motivational speaking. At one engagement, I finish speaking and a guy walks up to me and say, hey, I wanna offer you a job. I'm like, okay. He say, I wanna make you a pharmaceutical rep for my company. I want to make you a pharmaceutical rep. I say, did you hear my story? He's like, yeah, I heard it. I'm like, man, when y'all run my background,
I'm not gonna get it.
Do that.
Yeah.
He say, no, I own the company.
Yeah.
Okay. He like, I'm gonna bring you in. I feel like I'm supposed to fund your ministry. And I'm like, no, I ain't no pastor. He like, what did you just do? Like, I just gave my story, but I ain't no pastor. Yeah. And then I'm mad at the church. Make a long story short, he bring me in doing pharmaceutical sales. 18 months later, Obamacare kicks in.
Of course.
When Obamacare kicks in, it kills the private insurance companies from us. And now he's saying, I'm about to start my own company doing something else with new type of drugs. And guess what? It's only one, man, I want to hire you for $100,000 a year plus commission.
Man, that's a
But
blessing.
it's not in Alabama. I'm like, where is it? He says it's in Houston. I say, I ain't going to Houston. He like, what you mean? I say, man, I got a history in Houston. I almost lost my life in Houston. Man, my case come out of Houston.
Yeah.
I'm not going to Houston. And so at this time, he say, well, you got 24 hours to make a decision. I'm going to give you $100,000 a year plus commission.
So you was trying not to be obedient.
No, I wasn't going to be obedient. Make a long story short, it was all God.
Yeah, of course.
I get to Houston. We're doing pharmaceutical sales. 8 months later, the exact same thing happened again. FDA prohibits a specific drug that we doing.
Okay.
And he stops it. And I've been in Houston 8 months. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And he like, man, we got to shut the company down. I'm like, I can't go back to Alabama. And God just started doing crazy stuff. I meet Bishop T.D. Jakes one-on-one. Bishop Jakes say, do you know why you're here? I'm like, yeah, I'm here because I made you a video. It went viral. I was building up my YouTube page at this time. I'm developing my own Eric Thomas, Ike Johnson, motivational speaking.
Yeah, you build your brand. Yeah.
And so I did a video for Bishop Jakes celebrating him, appreciating him, and it went viral. I met Bishop Jakes. We sitting at the table. He said, you know why you here? I'm like, yeah, Bishop, I made the video. It went viral. You loved it. He say, no, I'm a lion. You a lion. Lions don't play with each other. They conquer territory. I'm like, he say, no, go to your side of the forest, conquer your territory, and come back to me, and we're going to talk about how we're going to conquer the forest. I'm like, what's that? Like, make a long story short, a couple weeks later, I couldn't sleep. And the Lord, opportunity come. Well, I get a phone call to go back to Alabama because I got to take care of some business because my dad's mom has died at this point and left me a part of his estate, inheritance.
Okay.
I'm going back home and I hear a voice. I say, God, what is Bishop Jakes talking about? Transforming faith. What is Bishop Jakes talking about? I'm a lion. He's a lion. And then I heard the Holy Spirit say to me then, he said, Transforming Faith Christian Center.
Wow.
And I'm like, what is that? Son, people will limit you and label you and put a lid on your potential until I release the five people that's in you out of you.
Yeah.
And he began to talk to me about transformation, vision, encouragement, identity, faith. Make a long story short, speed up the process. We started a Bible study a few months later. After every motivational speaking engagement is drying up, I'm knowing this God. Start a Bible study. And 2 weeks into the Bible study, as it's just a Bible study on Friday nights where I teach the Bible and we eat and fellowship, people start giving me their tithes. And I'm like, man, I ain't even a pastor. What do you mean, tithes?
Yeah.
We start the Bible study, and 8 weeks later, we at a church.
40 minutes. So we're back. Now, we've got a lot of your backstory. I think there's still more of us to talk about that. Hopefully I can come to where you at. We can get more time.
Yeah, we will.
You know, hopefully we do. But I definitely wanted to do, before we wrap this, to talk about what you're doing now with the church. And then also you're author. You and your wife have content that you put out. And I want to talk about the relationship work that you're doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So now as a church, we are at Transforming Faith Christian Center here in Houston. And our assignment is to reach the lost, to train the ones that's been reached and released to train. And so in our environment, in our culture, so to speak, a lot of people, the resounding sound is, it feels like new life.
Okay.
Like, some people have given up on God. Some people been through hurt. Some people, just like, man, I didn't know that, like, the relationship with God you could be like this.
Yeah.
And so therefore, new life is the thing. And so one of the specific things that's sticking out for us right now is the relationship conversation. Yeah. Like, for a Transforming Faith, we, one of the problems, the main problem that we counsel, that we talk about, that we deal with as it pertains to ministry, is broken hearts in relationships, or people trying to do relationships the right way.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I gave birth to this, The Secret of the Soul Tie, a couple of years ago. My wife and I just finished writing a book entitled The 7 Core Values to Every Relationship in Marriage.
Okay.
And so therefore, and on October the 24th, Thursday night at 7 p.m., we're having a Grace and Truth live show.
Nice.
She's Grace,
nice.
I'm Truth. We have a conversation talking about the relevancy of relationships, the wisdom in relationships, how to respond, how to make the chemistry, how to make it flow.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people doing life and they're doing relationships, but they're not doing them in a healthy way.
Yeah. In our community, just fractured relationships, environments amongst the men and women in our community has really impacted just our community's faith, our ability to grow, our ability to do anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when that's really what's crazy is the backstory was so good, I couldn't jump right to it because I wanted to talk about why soul tie. Why did you use
soul ties? Simply because, number one, when I was in prison, I had a soul tie.
Okay.
And so when I was in prison, I had a soul tie, and I had a heartbreak, a crushing experience, and the Lord walked me through kind of like how to put myself back together again in a new way, right? And then back in pandemic, this was birthed from the pandemic.
Yeah.
He had already took me through that back in 2009 and 10. But in the pandemic, a guy gave me a phone call and he wanted some one-on-one coaching. And in the midst of the one-on-one coaching, he revealed to me that he had been in a marriage for 6 years, but he was in the marriage, but the marriage wasn't in him.
Wow.
And the only thing that was locked up in him was all the previous relationships of the last 4 women before his wife. His wife didn't even know that she's married to him, but at the same time, she's in another marriage with 5 other people that she can't see. And so when your soul, which is your mind, your will, and your emotions, is tied to a memory or tied to an emotion, tied to a past life, then it's hard to be present with a person when you're still living in the past effects of the trauma that happened in the past. And so when I revealed to him that they had a soul tie, he kind of like fought against it. He was like, I don't have no soul ties. I'm like, why you say that? He said, because my pastor already told me there ain't no such thing as a soul tie. I said, oh, you went to your pastor. He couldn't help you. You've been listening to me, and now you want me to help you. Then when I diagnose you, you tell me that that's not the answer to the diagnosis. And so from the conversation with him, it was a challenging, and then I started breaking some stuff down to him.
Yeah.
And I said, I felt like right then that I needed to go do a series at the church about the secret of the soul tie. And I did the series at the church, and everybody was like, Pastor James, people don't know this stuff. You need to put this in a book.
Yeah.
and it was birthed.
Nah, see that. So I'm looking forward to reading it.
Yes,
thank you so much for even gifting me
Absolutely.
one. And I'll patronize it too. You didn't have to, but I'm grateful that you're willing to do that.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate, blessed that I met my wife. We're going on our 20th year. So
for sure, celebrate.
So definitely celebrate. There were the things that I'm able to accomplish are definitely a testament to the entrusted counsel that I have with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of synergy that we're able to build and vision that we've able to establish for myself and my two daughters also.
Absolutely.
So that is definitely helpful. But let the people know, where can they find you? How can they get in touch with the church?
Absolutely.
How can they support and share the content you and your wife do?
So the church is Transforming Faith Christian Center, 12401 South Post Oak Road, Houston, Texas. We have service on Wednesday nights at 7, Conversations of Faith. Then we have Grace and Truth at 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings and 11 a.m. morning worship. That's the church. My wife and I has a thing that we call, like I say, we have a podcast we do called Grace and Truth, which everybody's seen. I'm pretty sure a lot of people, if you're in the relationship space, I'm sure within the last year and a half, you've seen a few viral videos.
Definitely.
Not, not boasting or bragging. Anything like that.
Take the boast. What you mean?
There is, we got one going viral right now of me, and we got one going viral right now of her.
In a crowded space, it is incredibly difficult to get attention. Yeah. So I'm gonna I want you to boast.
Yeah, for sure. And so, do that. Lord, he put us together. Our chemistry is great. He's given us wisdom, understanding in relationships in an area that is helping a lot of people. Yeah. And so the assignment is we are called to take people from defeat to victory, from brokenness to wholeness. We're from no life to life, or restoration to healing. We're to victory in every area of relationships. And so we have a conversation that we have called Grace and Truth, which is going to be October. It's going to be live.
Nice.
In front of an audience of about 325 people.
Nice. I need to be in the building.
On Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And so we're going to have the conversation, and then we're going to involve the entire crowd in the conversation. We're going to be doing real live on the spot hot seat coaching.
Gotcha.
With couples and with individuals. This is for singles. This is for couples. This is for married couples. Yeah. And this is going to be the launching of our book entitled The 7 Core Values to Every Relationship and Every Marriage. One of the main reasons, as we've been counseling, coaching, and helping couples for the last 9 years, one of the number one things that we see, the reason why certain couples cannot make it to the end, the reason why certain couples make it to a pothole, trip, never get back up, reason why some couples just can't seem to put it together is simply because a lot of people are doing relationships, but they don't have core values to the relationships.
Definitely.
They don't have a constitution.
Definitely.
And so core value number one, just for an example, for us, we put God first and we put each other first. Yeah. Like it's a whole thing around that, one specific core value. If I put God first, then this means that I cannot say I love God, but I don't put God first. Yeah. Because love is demonstrated by putting others first. Yeah. So he says, love me with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul. Then love your neighbor as you love yourself. So if I'm loving God first, he's going to teach me how to love you. Yeah. Yeah. Am I making any sense?
No, that does.
And so therefore, when I put him first and then I put my wife first, then that means that no other infections can come in. Yeah. Right? So if I put anything or anybody else first before my wife, then when we start having problems or situations or circumstances, infection starts coming in and division try to come in, whatever I'm making first, that's the specific thing that got to have the power to be able to heal, restore, or bring back the unity or the peace in which we've lost. So therefore, if God ain't first, then you're running the risk of being impotent when it's time to restore it.
Yeah, y'all better pull up on October 24th. That's all I got to say. Yeah. Share your personal page.
Yeah, my personal page, my wife's page. My personal page is at Pastor James TFCC. Yep. This is on Instagram. This is on YouTube. This is on TikTok, Facebook, at Pastor James TFCC. My wife's is at just.Tiffany. That's hers on Instagram. YouTube, Transforming Faith Christian Center, that's the church page, and Grace and Truth Talks at Grace and Truth Talks, also us together. So we got a lot going on.
Man, I appreciate you giving me the time.
Blessings to you, B.
Thank you so
blessings
much.
to you.
This is Horsemen Academy for the first week of October. We'll talk to y'all next time. We out.